And we are live. Hey, everybody. Welcome back. The SongBike Guitar Q&A live stream number 86. Took a week off last week. I hope you are well. I hope you've had a great 2 weeks. Went to New York State to watch my son compete in a great swim tournament. He did a great job. I'm so proud of him. And now we got him home for spring break. Nice time in my house. I hope there's nice things going on in your homes as well. My name's Jonathan. I am here for your guitar-related questions. And I hope you have your guitar handy because I have a bunch of cool stuff to show you. Just because I took last week off doesn't mean the ideas and the music and stuff stopped coming in. So we got twice as much stuff to do this week, almost. So if you have a question for me, and I hope you do, ask your question with a bunch of question marks in advance. That's how I know you're aiming a question at me. In between your questions, we have a bunch of stuff to talk about. I want to say hello to Charlie, Randy, William, Wingo, and Matt. Thank you for being here. We have a poll question up and running. So let's get right to the poll question. If you had to pick one, would you choose playing any old music with your friends? Even if you don't love the music, it's your friends and you want to be there in the room, on stage, wherever, in the garage, and you're playing music with your friends, even though you don't love the music. Or would you prefer playing the music that you love, even if the people you play with, you're just not connecting with those people? They aren't your cup of tea, but the music is, it's your favorite tunes. The poll question is not there just to stimulate your decision-making process. It's a real situation. I feel like in my own way, I've been on a couple of sides of that question. What's more important, playing with your best friends or playing your favorite music? Sometimes it's tricky to find a balance in there. So I'm curious what you guys have to say about that. And for once, I'm forcing you guys to take a stand. One or the other. There's no third option. What would be your choice? Which one? I realize it's a tricky question. Give it some thought because it's a tricky question. I don't know. Okay, so a few things that I want to mention during today's lesson. We have multiple student quotes of the week. Should I sell out? A bunch of good offers came in. I have a great lesson you'll never forget. I'm calling this lesson Know Your Roots. It's you could say it's a lead guitar lesson, but if you keep your eyes and ears open, you just might learn something that goes way beyond just lead guitar. We're going to talk about guitar camp, guitar summer camp. It's a topic that's come up recently a little bit, so I want to give you an example of the one that I went to a long time ago. Hand health. Hand health. One of my students, and now I can't remember which one, mentioned a book, and they're supposed to get back to me with the title and the authors of this book. A very cool premise, at least my takeaway from their description of the book. Hand health is brain health. Oh, that got my little wheels turning. The Oscars are tomorrow night on ABC, maybe. As you know, the Bob Dylan movie, the Timothée Chalamet movie, A Complete Unknown, it has come up in conversation during this live stream, and it's up for a bunch of Oscars tomorrow night. So that's something that we could talk about a little bit. What else? Who's in town? A bunch of cool people coming through town. I want to share their names with you. Why? Because if they're coming through my town, it's possible they're coming through your town, right? And you want to be prepared. I had a dream. My friends, and there's a story behind the dream I had and why I want to share my dream with you. It has to do with partners in crime. You'll see. I went to the used bookstore and got some new guitar books. I want to share those with you. Of course, we have a dumb question of the week. I'm going to ask a dumb question so you don't have to. What else? A little tough love, a little segment I call Tough Love from Your Guitar Teacher. And a guitar play-along song tonight I'm very excited about. In fact, we usually do that about 1 hour into this live stream, right? I want to prepare you right now to start getting your chords ready. There are 2 chords in this song that are easy, but they're going to be a little bit foreign to some of you. So you might as well start practicing these 2 chords now so you're ready about an hour from now. 3 skinny strings only. First string, 3rd fret, second string, 4th fret, 3rd string, 5th fret, 3, 4, 5, easy peasy. Some of you might know that as a C minor chord. Okay, no big deal, right? But you want to get very comfortable with this chord because you're going to need it for today's play along. That's half the song right there, just about, is that chord. Okay, the next chord, check this out. My index is going to go up. Well, my whole hand is going to go up 1 string, 1 fret, I should say, right? But I'm going to switch my ring and middle. So now my index is on the 4th fret of the skinny string. Watch out. Ring finger 6 on the B string. Middle finger 5 on the G string. It's going to remind you of a D minor chord up 3 frets. Okay? Think D minor, but glide it up so you're at 4, 5, and 6. Again, these are the 2 chords you're going to need. That's why I'm throwing them your way right now. Because again, they might be a little bit foreign for you guys, and I totally get that. But, you know, 3, 4, 5. That's the first. That's half the song right there. And to switch smoothly to the next chord, my advice is your whole hand up 1 fret, but now switch your middle and ring. The ring finger went over to the 2nd string, and the middle went over to the 3rd string. And it's going to feel like a D minor chord. Okay? While we're talking, practice those 2 chords. Okay, back and forth. Wingo says, white wedding. You know what? White wedding, ma'am. There we go. Since you brought up Wingo, it's not White Wedding, although that could be a cool song for the future. I was amazed because I was well into adulthood when I realized that that catchy riff from the Billy Idol song, White Wedding, the riff presumably played by Steve Stevens, is a B minor arpeggio. I'm grabbing a 4-string, 4-finger B minor chord, and I'm resolving onto an E major chord. I thought, wait a minute, that's the riff? It's just arpeggiating a B minor chord. I think after the E major, it goes to a D major, I think. What's my point? Since you brought up Wingo, you know, I thought even in my advanced age here, I thought all guitar riffs, all the famous riffs, were like some cool whittly, whittly, whittly with all your fingers going up and down, right? And when I found out that White Wedding was what I call a static kind of position for my fretting hand, you just grab, again, a 4-finger, 4-string B minor chord. It just stays there. And then you pick. I'm just going from skinny string to the 4th, from the E to the B to the G to the D, back to the G, the B, the E, the B. I mean, that's the riff. Are you kidding me? It's a great riff, though. It's a great riff, right? That's not going to be the play along tonight, but Wingo, I can see why your ear would go there. Yeah. Anyways, you got those 2 chords. Don't worry, we're going to go over them again, but practice those 2 chords that I just showed you, and specifically switching between the 2 chords, okay? All right. Rock Lobster says he likes that second one. Yeah, they're both cool. Remember, the second one is just a D minor. You're all go to the D minor, right? But slid up, so you're at 4, 6, and 5. Same, where are we here? Same form, okay? It's the D minor form, but based on the 4th fret. And the other one, I mean, one way to describe it is it's a 3-string B minor chord, B as in Bravo, but up 1 fret. So one way to describe it is a C minor chord, or B minor up 1 fret. Okay, we'll get to that. Chuck says, greetings from Guitar City, Nashville. Joseph says there was too much alcohol and cigarette use in the Bob Dylan movie. Was there? I guess. It was appropriate to the era, though, right? You know, Scott just got some new instruments. All right, you inherited your mom's old guitar, and her uke, and you bought a Gretsch alligator round neck resonator guitar. That sounds awesome. I would like to see what that looks like. That sounds awesome. Pooba John, hello. Bruce, hello. Bruce, all the way from Sydney, Australia. Bruce, one of my online students is, I think he should be touching down in Sydney as we speak, right around now. And I know it's a big city. But if you see a guy in Sydney who looks like he could be one of my students, yeah, he's a nice guy. You get along just fine. But when he told me that he was heading to Sydney, I thought, oh my God, that's like, what are the chances? I don't know. What are the chances? I'm reading some of the comments here. Scott, you've been riding on Amtrak, huh? Crossing Nevada on Amtrak. That's an adventure, I'm sure. Okay. Hey, while we're on the topic of the Bob Dylan movie, Oscars tomorrow night. What Oscars was A Complete Unknown nominated for? I thought you'd never ask. 8 nominations, which is actually not the most nominations of any movie, but it's plenty, right? It's plenty. So nominated for the different nominations include lead actor, Timothée Chalamet, supporting actor, there's Ed Norton, supporting actress, Monica Barbaro, I might be getting her last name wrong, the woman who played Joan Baez and did a fantastic job. What else? It's nominated for Best Picture, it's nominated for Sound, Costumes, Adapted Screenplay, and Director. That's a lot of nominations, so we'll see what happens. Now you know what I know, and we'll find out tomorrow night what the results are. It's Oscars time. Look, man, it's winter in New England. We take what we can get, just to get through. Whether it's Grammys, Oscars, Golden Globes, I don't know, snow globes, whatever it takes to get through. We've had a few mild days. We got some more cold weather kicking in, so why not enjoy the Oscars? John Cavallo is pointing out that second chord, John, that's similar to one that you and I did in one of our lessons. Yeah, not the exact same, I don't think, but in the ballpark. Yeah, for sure. You're definitely right. Okay, so where should we begin tonight? How about if we I get comments on my YouTube videos, and sometimes they are positive, sometimes they're negative, sometimes they're confusing. So I got a confusing YouTube comment. If you want to see it yourself, you can go to my video on the song called Because the Night, Patti Smith, Because the Night Belongs to Lovers. Okay, so here's the comment. You ready? Just to give you a little glimpse into what I see on the internet. Someone watched my video on Because the Night by Patti Smith, and they said, too much presidential speech. I wanted to see the complete riff, but I heard just comments and intelligent history of music. There you go. I don't know if that was a combination of autocorrect or I don't know. Anyways, that's the most interesting comment I got recently. One more time, the person said, too much presidential speech. I don't know what that means. I wanted to see the complete riff, but I just heard comments and intelligent history of music. Okay, now you know. Moving on. Student quote of the week. We had a bunch of good student quotes of the week. One of them, actually, I think I've heard this from more than one student recently, and so I definitely want to bring it to your attention. I believe 2 of my in-person students, as we talked about learning the fretboard and moving shapes around the fretboard, they both referred to the geography of the fretboard, and I kind of like that. I'm kind of I'm turning that around in my mind, thinking of the fretboard as being territory that you have to map out and come to terms with. I like it. Geography, the geography of the fretboard. I'd never heard it put that way before until I think it's 2 different students both happen to mention it. Another student, very young man, very musical kid. He's about 7 years old. And we've done 3 lessons so far. And his mom told me he's super musical. And she was right. He is a super musical kid, picks up things so fast. And so on his way out of the door, after last night's lesson, I said to him, you are a musical kid. You're doing very well. You're picking up stuff so fast. You are a musical kid. And he said, yeah, that's a fact about me. All right, I guess we agree. It's a fact about you, man. Yeah, it's a fact about you. His mom kind of like said, that's not what you're supposed to say. Thank you when someone says something nice. But yeah, but he said, that's a fact about me. Yeah, man, that is a fact about you, son. That's a fact about you. Third student quote of the week. My favorite quote in a long time. We all misspeak, right? I do it live in front of you guys. We all, something comes out, it's not the word we're looking for. Sometimes someone says something so beautiful, and even though they're misspeaking, I have to write it down so I can tell you guys. My favorite student quote of the week in recent memory. The term the student was looking for was vibrato, right? Vibrato, you wiggle a string. Vibrato. What the student said was bravado. Give me the note a little bravado. And I like that better, man. We should all give our notes a little bravado. So I don't know. You might find me using that term every once in a while. Bravado. Why say vibrato when you can say bravado? Student quote of the week. Love it. Love it. Okay. You want to learn something? Let's do it. Let's do it. Pooba John, I'm gonna answer your question, and then yeah. Oh, Bruce is recommending the Brutalist movie. Yeah, I saw the trailer quite a bit. It looks very intense. Pooba John, not tuning. Yeah, Pooba John is bringing up a good point. If you go into drop D tuning, and Pooba John, I assume you mean, loosening the fat string down to D, the chords change. Some of them. You're absolutely right. Yeah, because the guitar isn't the guitar as you knew it anymore, right? One of the beautiful things is if you've loosened your fat string down to D to be in drop D tuning, now you can strum all 6 strings when you do a D chord. That's new, right? You're not supposed to hit the fat string on a D chord. Some people even avoid the 5th string on a D chord. Got it. But in drop D tuning, the D chord is like, it suddenly has become royalty. Oh, it sounds great. Meanwhile, the E chord, well, now if you're going to play an E chord, now you can't hit the fat string anymore, right? Because it's the note D. So all of a sudden the E major chord isn't the royalty it used to be. E major, E minor. Yeah. Yeah. So things change. G is problematic because, as you guys know, when you play a regular G chord, 6th string, 3rd fret, the fat string there, that's the note G, right? Well, it isn't if you loosen this fat string down to D, right? All of a sudden that string is either off limits or you have to relearn a different kind of G chord to deal with it. Yeah, it's problematic, right? So keep in mind, though, Pooba John, that when a song calls for you to do drop D tuning, it's extremely likely that D is the main chord, or possibly D minor, right? Some kind of D chord, and that it won't rely very much on chords that require you to use the 6th string. I mean, there might be some, but it's likely that a song in drop D tuning will have, well, it'll have chords where you don't have to deal with the 6th string. Or it's possible that drop D tuning, whoever wrote the song, they are approaching the guitar almost as a whole new instrument. And kind of like what you're saying, it requires your left hand to kind of learn a bunch of new chords. Yeah, you're in a new world. It's amazing. On the one hand, it can be frustrating because like you can't play G the way you used to. On the other hand, for the price of $0, you have a new instrument that can do new things. And that's, I mean, banjo can do that. You can, stringed instruments can be retuned, right? Trumpet, saxophone, piano. You can't just sort of twist the trumpet and get a new instrument, right? Not in a way that you'd like, right? It's a beautiful thing. Andrew says, I fall asleep to your videos every night at the moment. I'm going to take that as a positive thing. But if you're watching my videos, I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Joseph is saying the Bob Dylan song Rainy Day Woman in the key of F, or put a capo on first fret and play it in there. Okay. Joseph, interesting. Yes, Joseph, I can see that you get the idea of how a capo can simplify things. For someone who's not into F and B flat chords, you put a capo on, and all of a sudden what was an F chord now is just an E chord. What was a B flat chord is an A chord. Excellent. Excellent. All right, my friends, let's do something. Let's learn something. Here's a lesson you never forget for free. Let's get right into this. Get your guitar handy if it's not already handy. I'm going to make sure that looks good. That looks good. Oh, beautiful. Beautiful. Okay, let's see. If your screen goes black, do not fret. Do not fret at all. I'm going to make this a little bit smaller. Okay, there we go. This is a 2-page lesson, and hopefully you're seeing one of the pages right there. Know your roots, part 1. Know your roots. Okay, now maybe I can make this a little bit bigger. I know some of you are starting to play the tab on the screen already. I'm not saying that you should not do that, but hear me out. Let me give you a little introduction here. There we go. Okay, this particular lesson plan of mine. Oh, by the way, what you're looking at on the screen is available as a PDF for members of my website. So if you're already a member of my website, you go to the PDF, scroll down the PDF section, and it's called Know Your Roots #1. Okay, here's the premise. The premise of this is, if you know the names of the notes on your skinny first string, that opens up a lot of doors. If you can play a little bite-size G chord, that's at the top of the screen there. It's essentially like a little F chord, but move it up 2 frets. My index finger is barring the 2 skinny strings. You want that to be, it's very important you do 2 strings with 1 finger, okay? Especially in this context. Middle finger reaching across the G string, 3rd string, 4th fret. Okay, a little bite-sized G chord. That's the second piece of information that's crucial. Again, the first one is knowing the names of the notes in your skinny string. If you don't know them all by heart, that's okay. This is what hopefully is going to motivate you to learn them. And the second piece of information that is going to be extremely useful at the moment is that one way of playing a G chord is to take the F chord concept and move it up 2 frets. Again, index finger barring 2 skinny strings at the 3rd fret, only 2 strings, and your middle finger reaching, kind of arching over 3rd string, 4th fret. It should sound like, okay? Right? Now, here's the good news. You don't have to be great at that chord right this minute. You want to be familiar with what it looks like. You want to have that image in your mind, because we're going to do a lot of stuff that's based on that image right there, that form, even if we're not necessarily touching all 3 of those strings at the same time, okay? So the reason this is called Know Your Roots is when you do that G, the root note of the chord, the note G, is that skinny string 3rd fret, okay? Now, so literally as you move that form up and down the neck of the guitar, the name of that chord you're producing is the same as the name of the skinny string at the fret you're touching it at. Down here, it's F. 2 frets up is G. 2 frets up from that is A. How do I know it's A? What's my reference point? Skinny string 5 is A. Therefore, trust me, that's an A major chord. Okay, so those are the 2 pieces of information that this lesson plan is going to kind of solidify in your mind. Names of the notes in the skinny string, okay, and I'm going to help you with that. And that this little, I call this a bite-sized chord. This little bite-sized chord can be the foundation for all these cool riffs I'm going to show you right there. Okay, so you ready to do this? There's 14 of these riffs, I believe, and we got 6 of them on this page that you can see right now. Yeah, there's 6 and there's 8 on the next page. Okay, so I want to, as we do this, I want to put a scenario in your mind. You're playing with a band, and the band is on a G chord, and the band expects you to do something to complement the G chord, something that goes along with the G chord. By the way, I chose G because it's such a common chord. That's why G is the reference point for this lesson plan. Okay. So maybe there's another guitar player who's already strumming the G chord, so they don't need you to do that. Or a piano player has the chord, right? Maybe there's a moment when the singer stops singing and people look at you as the person who's going to put in a cool little fill before the singer starts singing again, right? That's a great scenario to picture as you look at this. Okay, so the first couple riffs at the top of the page, well, the very first thing, it just shows the G chord in tab, that 3, 3, 4. Okay, number 1 is that classic Chuck Berry kind of sound. All right, a little double stop, 1 finger sliding into the 3rd fret. You can slide from the 2nd fret, slide from the 1st fret. Doesn't matter because it's such a fast slide. Okay, those 2 diagonal slashes going up towards the 3s. That's the indication for a slide. Okay, so the band is on a G chord. The singer has stopped singing. They look at you and they expect you to put something in. It could be, 4 seconds, 2 seconds of music. Here's one example. You could put in a little. You just did it. You fill in the space. Easy peasy. Just to put a really fine point on it, that 3, 3 you just did there, it's directly from that G chord at the top of the page, right? It's the same 3, 3. Get it? Right? So you're reflecting that chord. Just happens you're only playing 2 of the strings. Okay. Speaking of Chuck Berry, look at the second one. The second one, 8 on the 2nd string. I encourage you to do that with your ring finger, and you're going to slide up to that 8. From where? A couple frets away. Doesn't matter where. If they don't tell you where to start a slide, it's because it's a really fast slide. And the exact starting point doesn't matter. If it mattered, they would tell you where to start from. After you slide into that 8 on the 2nd string with your ring finger, you got to do it with your ring finger. You're going to hop back with your index over to the 1st string, 3rd fret, and play the exact same sound. It's note G. You recognize that? How often have you heard Chuck Berry and lots of the rest of us who are influenced by Chuck Berry? How often have you heard us do that kind of riff? If your ring finger feels wobbly and not secure as it slides up to 8, then you are the perfect person to do this 100 times. This is how you get that finger kind of firmed up. You're playing the same note. It's the note G, but you're playing it 2 different ways on 2 different strings, and it gets that cool effect. It's an effect. It's a novelty, you could say. Very cool. Number 3, second line. Ooh. Oh, I love it, right? You got a hammer-on the 2nd string. See that capital H? We're on line number 2 now, okay? See that line number 2? This is riff number 3 on line 2. A hammer-on the 2nd string. Later on, there's a hammer-on the 1st string. Then there's 2 notes at the same time. A hammer-on one of them. And you end, like almost all of these end, 3 on the skinny string. We keep coming back to that 3 on the skinny string because we want to reflect a G chord. Okay, so let's tease this apart a little bit. If you want to know the trick to a bunch of the things that I'm going to show you, and definitely this one, start with your index finger touching both skinny strings. Make that little tiny bar, only 2 strings, and glue that down. Just leave that there, okay? Because you're going to need both of those 3s. So you might as well just have them both waiting there, okay? You get what I'm doing? I'm clamping that down. 2 strings, 1 finger, 3rd fret, just leave it there. Okay, 2nd string, You're going to pluck the second string and hammer on 5th fret ring finger. Notice I didn't pluck the 5. I achieved the 5 with my fretting hand, just hammering down. Next is skinny string 3. So far we have, okay, skinny string, hammer on 3 to 5. Skinny string 3 again. So far we have, okay, now here's where it gets juicy. 2 strings at the same time, 3 and 3 at the same time. I'm going to strum both of those 2 skinny strings. I'm going to hammer on, but only hammering on the second skinny string while the first string is still ringing. Oh, sounds so good, right? Not easy. If you're human, a lot of you, you're going to hammer down on that 5, but your flesh is going to catch the first skinny string and mute it out. It's because you're human. You got to practice it. You can do it. You got to really arch your fingers, maybe push your wrist a little away from yourself. It's worth it, because to have one note change, thanks to the hammer on, while the other note is still ringing, oh, it sounds so good. Okay, so here comes the whole riff all together. I'm going to do it slowly. Very cool. Now I'm going to pause for a second. Like I said, there's 14 of these, okay? The timing is largely going to be up to you. The way my software works, when I make a lesson plan like this, I have to give it some timing, quarter notes, eighth notes, some sort of rhythm, right? But the rhythm is definitely not carved in stone. You can do whatever you want. You can repeat a certain phrase. You know, you can do a hammer on 6 times before you go on to the next thing, right? My idea here is planting seeds in your head. Again, all based on that G right there. They're short, they're sweet. Some of them are easier, some of them are harder, you know. So I'm going to pause here for a second. Let's say you practice the 3 we just did, the Chuck Berry ones. And the one we just did. Here we go. Okay. Those sound great during a G chord. What about every other chord in the world, right? Okay, so your challenge goes way beyond anything on this page. Your challenge is to take anything on this page and take the whole riff and move it higher or even lower on the neck of the guitar so you can be ready for other chords. If the band is on an A chord, you can use all this stuff. You'd move it 2 frets higher, right? That very first Chuck Berry riff, all those three, you know, those 3s, it would be 5s instead. The band's on an A chord, and you're going like this, right? It's the same thing, just 2 frets higher. Okay, so I want to plant that seed in your head as well. Okay, that that you're just getting started, my friends. You're just getting started here. You know. Okay, now I want to skip down to the bottom line, the one that has the 6 on top of the 5. It's the 5th riff. 6 on top of the 5. I'll play it, and then we'll talk about it. That great train whistle kind of sound, right? Notice I keep coming back to the 3-3 because that's the whole point of this lesson plan, to keep coming back to your roots. What's your root? Your root is the note G and or the G chord, right? Know your roots. If the band is on G chord and you know how to play this G, again, a ton of opportunities are waiting for you right there. A to Z Me says double stops. You got it. Okay, so check it out. The one I just did, you get a lot of bang for your buck. It sounds so good, and it's just not that tricky if you know the secret. And here's the secret: 6 on the skinny first string. with your ring finger. Got to be your third finger. Got to be your ring finger. Middle finger, second string 5. Got to be your middle finger. We're saving the index finger because the index finger, the first finger, is going to be needed back at the 3. Doesn't have to touch the 3 now, but we're going to use it for that little double stop at 3. Okay. 6, ring finger, first string. 5, middle finger, second string. Strum them both at the same time and give a little bend, a quarter bend. Just push them a little bit towards your chin. Don't overdo it. It's not about how hard you can push it. A little bend. A quarter bend is the least possible amount of bending. To my knowledge, there's no less of a bend than a quarter bend. So just enough to give it a little flavor. And then as smoothly as possible, hop back with your index and grab that 3-3 on the 2 treble strings. Ah, sounds great, right? Okay, so what I wrote on the paper is so boring. I wrote this. What I hope is that you'll take that concept and go nuts with it. You know, play them faster, slower, double one, triple the other. Right? It's in your hands. It's in your hands, right? Literally. Do whatever you want with it. But like I said, I have to present it somehow. So I presented it nice and boring. And now you can go nuts. Okay, how about if we do one more, and I'm going to catch my breath and tell you a little story, because I had a really good experience with one of these in particular on the next page with one of my students, actually 2 of my students recently, and it was a good teaching week. Thanks to this lesson plan. We are still not sponsored by Lyman Orchards and the Great Apple Cider with apples from, say it with me, Leominster, Massachusetts. Thank you, New England Apple Products. Okay, number 6. Okay, what's going on there? The trick to number 6, you're actually going to bar 3 skinny strings with your index finger. It's very important. By the way, take a look at your thumb. Your thumb should be pointing up towards the ceiling. See how you can't see my thumb? I want you to imagine that you don't want anyone to see your thumbs. That means not like this, nowhere up there, not even peeking out a little bit. You want to hide your thumb in this. Now, I'm not saying forever for every song you ever play the rest of your life, but in this particular instance, to be successful with this squeezing you're going to have to do, hide your thumb right on the curve, right in the center of the neck, pointing up towards the ceiling, okay? We don't want this. We don't want your thumb going parallel to the neck. We got dozens of people watching right now. One of you has your thumb parallel to the neck. Don't do that. It's poking straight up towards the ceiling, okay? The tip of my thumb pointing straight up, but hide it. Okay. So 3 treble strings being barred with your index finger. 3rd string, pluck the 3rd string and hammer on with your middle on the 4th fret. Oh, so bluesy. Wingo says, hey, you've got to hide your thumb away. I love it. Wingo, I'm going to quote you. See, I say things like that, but sometimes I'm say to like a 12-year-old and they don't get it. You know, that's why this works, because you guys get it. Some of you, right? Hey, you've got to hide your thumb away. Okay, so what a bluesy. Oh, what a great sound, right? Okay, so you know what I'm going to say. The band is on a G chord. They look at you because maybe you're in a bluesy mood or it's a bluesy tune. Now you've got this little bluesy riff right there waiting for you. As long as what? As long as you know the band's on a G chord and you know that little grip, that little 3-3-4 grip, your hand is just waiting there for something to do. And you're like, I think I'll do the bluesy riff. Sounds so great. Oops, the band is going on to an A chord. No worries. Glide up 2 frets. It sounds so great. Sounds so great. Quick mention. Everything on this page, is based on a G major chord. Okay, so all these riffs, that's the premise. The band is doing a G major chord or possibly like a G7 chord. You know, that's what's going on in the background. None of this stuff directly relates to minors. Okay, we could do a whole nother lesson on that, but because the G major chord is so common, because the key of G is such a common key, that's why I chose key G to be the reference point for all this. Okay, now some of you might be doing what I'm about to say. You might be doing it already, which is you begin linking these together. Oops. You know, a little bit sloppy, but you know, Rock Lobster says, "Am I using the P90?" You got it. That you're hearing the sound of a P90 pickup. I liked how I heard it described as a single coil pickup on steroids, not a humbucker. It's still a single coil. The mechanism, the guts are a single coil. It's still a single coil type of pickup, but it's on steroids, and that's almost everything I know about a P90 pickup. Oh, and that one of you guys told me that the P90 name just came from a part number. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't. There's no significance. Whoever invented it, developed it, it was designated as P90, and the name stuck. So I hope that's true. That's what I'm going with. Okay, so yeah, so linking all of these together, you can play them in any order you want. You can mess around. You can, but now you're talking. Now you are. If you link these together and have fun jumping around between them, okay, now you're soloing using these, which is fantastic. I keep using the scenario where you're filling in a small amount of space with one of these riffs. And here's why I'm using that scenario at the moment. It's such a common scenario. In general, you're going to find a million more opportunities to put in a cool little riff than opportunities to play a mega guitar solo, you know? Although I'll say this, man, YouTube backing tracks, you want a YouTube backing track in G major and then knock yourself out with any of these. Even if the backing track most likely will change from a G major chord to an E minor, to a C, to a D, whatever, you could still use these riffs even when the band changes chords. Your ear might tell you to modify some of them a little bit, and that's beyond the scope of this lesson plan at the moment. But I wanted to, you know, one of the funnest things on planet Earth is playing along with a backing track, or playing along with a friend who is a human backing track, right? Because then you get to do this stuff to your heart's content, right? In the backing track, they're cooking along, right? And you're like, you know, if you mess up, who cares? They're going to keep going. They're going to keep going for 10 minutes, right? YouTube backing tracks. Okay, so you guys good with this for the moment? Because I'm going to move on to, bear with me here, to the second page, and I'm going to zoom in on this extra big. Here we go. You'll see why in a minute. Okay. I know this is huge. I know. It's the one on the bottom right. Now, some of you, you're all going to like this, okay. You'll be like, yeah, John, that's cool. But some of you, this is going to be so cool. I know it because I just did this with two of my in-person, they happen to be both high school students. And it was just a very cool thing. Okay, take a look at number 14. It's the riff at the bottom right. Oh, by the way, all of these little riffs are separated by those two thin bar lines. And see those, if you see my cursor, see those two thin bar lines right there? Whenever you see that type of designation, that means that the two measures on either side are completely separate phrases. It's not a song that you go all the way across. It's two separate phrases. Okay, so take a look at the one at the bottom right. And playing it is no big deal. Some of you are playing it right now. You're going, 3, 4, 2, 3, 2, 3. For those of you who are playing it right now, please, please, please use your middle finger on the 3. That's your second finger. Your ring finger on the 4. Now index on 2, middle on 3, index on 2, middle on 3, right? Each finger has its own personal fret. The index finger is playing any 2s, the middle finger is playing any 3s, and the ring finger is playing the only 4 that's there. Sounds kind of jazzy, right? Okay, now this is why this was such a cool part of my teaching this past week and why I want to share it with you. Okay, I want to make this as short as possible. Jazz guys play wrong notes on purpose. When you play a wrong note on purpose, it's not a wrong note. You're playing it with intention. They don't really play wrong notes, but sometimes they play things that sound like they sound wrong, but then they sound right when they do it. What am I talking about? I know. Okay, here it comes. The whole premise here is that G chord, the 3 on the first string, the 3 on the second string, and the 4 on the third string. It's a very common jazz soloist trick to be fully aware of the 3 notes of the chord. But instead of just playing the 3 notes, you precede each note with a note on the same string right before it. So instead of just playing 4 on the third string, you play the 3 on the third string and walk into the 4. So you end up on a chord tone, you end up on a quote good note, and you play the quote bad note right before it, but it's so quick, it leads right in. It's a nice jazzy touch. Okay, 3 on the second skinny string, that's a chord tone from the G chord, but instead of just playing that 3, you play 2 on the second string right before it and walk into it. Same thing on the first string. The net result is instant jazz. All right, now we're going to do this in a second. I'm going to play a chord in the background. So one of you, maybe even 32% of you, are going to feel like, holy, I'm playing jazz. And you are, right? I mean, this is a novelty, it's a trick, but it's also what jazz players do. They know where the chord tones are, and they also play notes that are right adjacent to the chord tones, and it sounds so cool. Okay, so your job in 15 seconds is to play what you see in the bottom right of the page. Play the 3 on the third string, play the 4 on the third string, play the 2 on the second, and the 3 on the second, and the 2 on the first, and the 3 on the first. Play them in any order. You can hit them as many times as you want. You can play the right notes, you can play the wrong notes. Just know that the 3, 3, 4, those are going to feel like home. And the other notes are going to feel a little bit jazzy and out there. Some of you are going to hustle to get away from those notes back onto the chord tones. And others of you are going to be like, you know what? What happens? You know, those daredevils among you, you're like, what happens if I only play the wrong notes during the G chord? We're about to find out. Okay, now instead of playing a typical G major chord, I'm going to play a G major 7 chord, right? Because that's going to give us a jazzy flavor. A quick, easy way of playing a G major 7, or the absolute easiest, skinny string second fret. Just put your pointer finger there. Now only strum the 4 treble strings, and that's a G major 7 chord. I need some more reverb. What happened to my reverb here? It's a little bit better. Okay. Those of you, well, it's not your job to strum a G major 7 anyways, because you're going to be soloing. But if you want to know a slightly more advanced way, you reach over with your ring in the middle. You know the way I always tell people to play the G, the ring finger, fat string, 3rd fret, middle finger, 5th string, 2nd fret. But instead of the pinky on the skinny string, index finger, 1st finger, 1st skinny string, 2nd fret. Again, that's not going to be your job though. But if you have a looper or just record yourself on the phone, record yourself playing this G major 7 chord. and then solo using this. Okay, we're gonna do this right now. I am your YouTube backing track. Your job, improvise with that bottom sequence of notes, the 3, 4, 2, 3, 2, 3. Here we go. A 1, 2. Here we go. Okay, what do you think? I bet there was one of you out there who had that reaction. At least one of you. I know it. I know it. Right? All of a sudden you're like, wait a minute, that's jazz guitar. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So I had to include that example 14. I had to include that one because it's both novelty kind of trick, and it is what people do. I've studied just enough jazz guitar to know that this is a common approach to improvising on top of a chord. You know full well what the chord is, and you play the quote wrong notes, right next to the chord notes. But then you, if you choose to, you lead into the chord note. Of course, you could never play the chord tones, and that could be a little bit edgy. I'll let you guys do that. Okay, so there you go. Was that fun? It's fun for me. It's fun for me because I know that a couple of you were like, what just happened? How did I become a jazz guitar player just now? Yeah. I wish I knew a million more jazz tricks. It's all tricks, right? It's all if then, like problem solving. If the band is doing this, if the song is doing this, what can I do that's within my skill, my ability. I mean, I bet all of you are playing those notes. There's nothing hard about those notes, right? So that's totally within your skills. Very fun. Randy says, that was great. I'll come back to the PDF later. Yeah. Okay. My friends, how about one more question, and then we will get to the play along song of the week, which I cannot wait to do. Okay. A to Z Me says, which method have you found that lets you know all the fretboard notes the fastest or the easiest to remember? Yeah, good question. I'm going to stop sharing this. I don't have a single response to that, but I do have kind of foolproof things. If you are so inclined to want to know the names of every note on the guitar, great. You don't have to pursue that. You can learn a lot of cool stuff on the guitar and have a ton of fun the rest of your life and not know the name of that note right there. But it's always, it's always nice to know. It's always nice to work with a student who's like, hey man, I want to know everything about the instrument. I don't want to just know Smoke on the Water or Sweet Home Alabama. I want to know the names of, like, how does it work? What's going on? Okay. In general, when a student brings up the subject, we talk about the 12th fret, the 5th fret, and the 7th fret. Actually, we talk about the names of the strings. So for those of you who already are very comfortable with all this stuff, I'm not going to be giving you new information, but the way I'm presenting it, you might be able to use this when you're working with someone and they say, how do you figure out the names of everything? So this might help you. Okay. Step one, of course, you want to make sure everybody knows the names of the strings, right? Eddie, 8, Dynamite, Goodbye Eddie, from fat to skinny, right? Eddie, 8, Dynamite, Goodbye Eddie. If you know the names of the strings, then you automatically know the names of every note at the 12th fret, right? The octave point. 12th fret on the E string is the note E, 12th note on the 12th fret on the A string is the note A, and so on, right? So 12 is a magic spot. That's why a lot of guitars, not every guitar in the world, but many of them have 2 dots at 12 instead of just 1. Okay, so 12 is significant. 5 is significant, the 5th fret, because the name of the note at the 5th fret almost always is the name of the neighboring string as an open string. 5 on the E string is the note A, and A is also the next string open, right? It's neighbor. I call that the skinny neighbor approach, right? So naming notes at the 5th fret really shouldn't be too hard. It really shouldn't if you know the names of the strings, with one exception, right? One exception. This skinny neighbor approach kind of falls apart briefly. 3rd skinny string, the G string, 4th fret, is the note B, just like its skinny neighbor is the note B as an open string. Okay, that's the one exception. So you see what I'm saying? When someone says, I want to learn the names of the notes on the guitar, let's talk about the names of the strings. The 12th fret as a mile marker, signpost, as a place to be familiar with. 5th fret, same thing, right? If a student can name every note at 12, can name every note at 5, and they understand that G string 4th fret is a note B, G string 5th fret is a note C. Okay, that's pretty huge. And lastly, 7th fret. Let's call it the fat neighbor approach. 7 on the A string, 7 on the 5th string. The name of that note is the same name as the fat neighbor. Okay? 7th fret on the A string is a note E, and you can prove it by playing the open E string right next to it and hear that nice 1 octave difference. If you're getting one way to tell if your guitar's in tune, right? Those 2 notes sound really great together. Okay, so naming notes at the 7th fret shouldn't be too tricky if you give yourself a minute and you think, okay, E on the 5th string, and there's my E, open E string. E on the, 7th fret on the 5th string sounds like the open fat neighbor. 7th fret on the D string, A, sounds like the open fat neighbor, A. You know, with one exception, with a fat neighbor exception, 8 on the B string is the note G, G like golf. And we got our open G string right next to it, the fatter neighbor. You know what, when I say fat neighbor, the fatter string on the other side, right? That's what I'm calling a fat neighbor. Skinny string, you're back to 7 being our reference point. 7 on the skinny 1st string is the note B, and you can prove it by comparing it to the open B string right next to it. Okay? So 12, 5, and 7, got to know the names of your strings. If you really know the names of 12s, 5s, and 7s, and those little exceptions, you are so much further than you might even think in terms of learning the fretboard. One other crucial piece of information, so crucial, the musical alphabet, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, right? A musical alphabet, 12 notes, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. In between A and B is that thing. You can call it A sharp or B flat. You got to get comfortable with this whole notion. A sharp, or you could call it B flat. If some of you are like, you're already throwing up your hands like, nope, I don't, that's a part I don't like. I don't want to know about that stuff. I get that. Believe me, I believe it. But if someone's goal is to learn the fretboard, you have to know that if you're on any A, the very next fret, the very next note is called A sharp, or you could call it B flat. And then the next one is B. So you got to memorize the musical alphabet, long story short. B and C don't have that thing in between. E and F don't have that thing in between. Write it out, memorize it. You kind of have no choice because that's so crucial to naming notes. I'm just grabbing, I always try to grab a note and say, see, I don't really know the name of that note, but I mean, I kind of do. Not because I stayed up all night memorizing it, but like I just grabbed 6 on the D string. And immediately I'm using 5 as my reference point. I know 5 on the D string is G because of the skinny neighbor thing. So 6 has to be G sharp, you know? So I'm not, it's not that I stayed up all night studying this stuff. I can figure it out quickly, you know? So if I can do it, you can do it, is my point. That was a really long answer. A to Z me, does that help at all? It's not a method exactly. It's certainly not some big trick. It's not some secret, you know? 5, 7, and 12, musical alphabet, and then quiz yourself day after day after day after day. Quiz yourself. You got to do it every day. I mean, everything you got to do it every day. All right. Are we ready to sing, to play? I am. All right, you guys. This is when I try hard not to say the name of the song, because that makes it that much harder for the bots to demonetize me. Here comes our weekly play along song, and there we go there, and there we go there, and let's share it. Okay, I hope you guys, if your screen goes black, hang in there. There we go. The man. I'm going to make it a little bit smaller. Okay, I hope everybody can see that okay. Now, if you're squinting your eyes, because it's so small, I get it. This is also a PDF that is available at my website for website members. What's my website? www.song-bike.com. $10 a month. You get access to a ton of stuff, including a whole bunch of PDFs. And I keep adding PDFs to the website. Okay, so why did I choose this great song? It's built on those 2 chords I told you about at the beginning of the lesson. Almost the entire song. Okay, so we're going to talk about a few things. You know, I like to get right into the playing as quickly as possible, but I want to set you guys up for success too. So the 2 chords are at the very top of the page. A flat major 7. That's the 3, 4, 5 on the 3 skinny strings. 3, 4, 5. That is an A major 7. Sorry, an A flat major 7 with no root, meaning there's actually no A flat in there. That's okay. That's okay. The bass player has that, right? We don't always need to play the root note. The other main chord is that one I described earlier when I said it's like a D minor, but moved up to the 4th, 5th, and 6th frets. Officially, that's a D flat major 7 chord without the root note. Again, just the way it works. None of the 3 notes I'm touching there are the note D flat. So to cover my my butt, I'm calling it a D flat major 7 with no root. You know, you'll see that sooner or later if you look around enough of guitar material. Sometimes people will go out of their way to say this chord doesn't contain the root note. It's just, you know, academically correct. Okay, so those 2 chords, I hope a few of you practice those chords, you know, from the beginning I showed you. 4 down strums on each chord. If you want to really get that reggae vibe, don't let the chords ring. After you strum it, let the squishy part of your hand kind of take away the ringing sound. You let it ring for a second, and then I think of it as my picking hand snaps back to take away the ringing. I do let it ring. This is not the same as when your squishy part of your hand is resting on the strings all the time, palm muting. I wouldn't describe this as palm muting in that sense. After you strum it, after it rings for a split second, then you mute the string. Especially those of you playing electric guitar, this is how you get that controlled kind of sound. Okay, 4 strums per chord with that little, you know, deadening sound in between. That's almost the entire song. Here's a twist. Oh, by the way, all downstrokes. Here's a twist. In keeping with the reggae rhythm, you're playing on the upbeats in between the numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm tapping my foot. So partly for myself and partly for you guys as well. So you might hear my foot tapping here. This is, for some of you, this is going to be the weirdest part of this whole thing. Strumming on essentially on the upbeats and not on the downbeats. Once in a while, I might, in the heat of the moment, as we do this, you might hear me do something on the downbeat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. But for the most part, I'm gonna be playing on the up beats. Okay, so like I said, that's almost the entire tune. The bridge, 1 finger, 6, 6, 6. It's like a 1 finger A chord, but you move up to 6. You're going to strum the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th strings. And move it up 2 frets. There's only one part of this song, by the way, that has this. It's like, summer is here. Just 1 finger. Definitely don't do it with 3 separate fingers. It's too much trouble. Summer is here. It moves from 6 up to 8, just 1 strum on each. Don't strum the skinny first string. In fact, in a perfect world, your flesh would be muting out that skinny first string a little bit. And definitely don't strum the 2 open fat strings. Okay, I'm calling this the bridge. There's only one moment in the song where the bridge happens. It happens 2 times. After the 6 up to 8, the next 2 chords, one's a familiar one. It's that 3, 4, 5. At the top of the page, they call it A flat major 7, which it is. It also has another name. It's also a C minor chord. Don't let it make you crazy. For the moment, enjoy the fact that it's that 3, 4, 5 that we started the whole song on. The name happens to be different. 3, 4, 5, C minor, backwards 2 frets to B flat minor. So in slow motion, the bridge is going to go 1 finger 6, 1 finger 8, the C minor, B flat minor, and then it repeats 1 more time. Okay, now when you get to that part of the song, it only happens once, I'm probably going to slow things down a little bit. Makes it easier for all of us, including me. How do you know when that part of the song is coming? Okay, name of the song, right? You see the name of the song at the top of the page? The song starts with that chorus. I don't wanna wait in vain for your love. That's how the song starts. We'll call it the chorus. The next time the chorus comes around, I don't wanna wait in vain for your love. The singer, that's this guy, is gonna say it 3 times, and then it's gonna go into this. Summer is here. I'm still waiting there. Summer is here. I'm still waiting there. Okay, that's how you know. You'll hear me say, I don't want to wait in vain for your love 3 times, and then you know it's time for that. And I might take a look into the camera and see if we're all together at that moment. After that, it goes back to the top of the page. There's a guitar solo. Actually, it's a very tasty guitar solo. I forgot to do my homework and figure out who's playing the guitar solo on this track. It's a very tasteful guitar solo. I really love it. It's my style, man. At least that's I hope it's my style. That's the style I would like to, if someone pointed at me and told me to play a solo, I hope I would play a solo as tasteful as the one in the song. Okay. So that bridge thing I just talked about, that happens more or less in the middle of the tune. It happens twice, and then the whole song goes back to what you're doing in the beginning. And that's the whole song. That's why this song made the cut. In the grand scheme of things, it's a pretty small amount of information. It's not a particularly fast song, but it's a great song by a great songwriter, performer. If I say his name, somehow this whole thing is going to get demonetized. It's going to happen, but I'm not going to. But I thank him for his beautiful music. Okay, what do you think? I'm as ready as I'll ever be. Okay, so I think we can just do this. We'll start in a minute. In vain for your love. For the first time I played that on you. Okay, I think I got this. We'll find out. Okay, how about if I, as we start here, I'll vamp on the chord changes a couple times before I start singing, okay? That'll give us a chance to get warmed up. And I'm going to take it, hopefully, a little bit slower than the actual song, because what's the rush, right? Okay, I'm going to count us in by saying 3, 4, 1, chick. Because remember, I'm not playing on one, right? I'm playing on the end of one, the upbeat of one. Okay, you got your 3, 4, 5 ready to go? I'll see you on the other side. 3, 4, 1. I don't want to wait in vain for your love. I don't want to wait in vain for your love. From the very first time I placed my eyes on you, girl, my heart says follow through. But I know now I'm way down on your line. But the waiting I feel is fine. So don't treat me like a puppet on a string, 'cause I know how to do my thing. Don't talk to me as if you think I'm dumb. I wanna know when you're gonna come see. I don't wanna wait in vain for your love. I don't wanna wait in vain for your love. I don't wanna wait in vain for your love. Summer is here, I'm still waiting there. Winter is here, I'm still waiting there. It's been 3 years since I'm knocking on your door, and I still can knock some more. Oh girl, is it feasible? I wanna know. For I to knock some more. You're saying, life I know, there's a lot of grief, but your love is my relief. Tears in my eyes burn, tears in my eyes burn, while I'm waiting for my turn. I don't wanna wait in vain for your love. I don't wanna wait in vain for your love. I don't wanna wait in vain for your love. I don't wanna wait in vain for your love. I don't wanna wait in vain. I don't wanna wait in vain. I don't wanna wait in vain. All right, a little different, right? What do you think? Let me know. To the best of my ability, it was just what you see at the top of the page, 4 counts on each chord. Remember, The ultimate goal is to play along with him, right? Dawson says that he met Bob's guitar player, Al Anderson. Interesting. I think there must be more than one. I've definitely heard the name Al Anderson, but there's another. I'm thinking of a different Al Anderson. Very cool. I wonder who it was playing the guitar solo. Okay, now I'm going to zoom in on the bottom of the page. And remember, you can get this PDF. You don't have to squint. You can get this PDF yourself and zoom it up as big as you want. Bear with me. I know it's super big. Okay. Now take a look at the bottom of the page. Okay. A sliding scale. Why am I showing you this? It's a really appropriate scale to use for soloing with lots of songs, including this song. In fact, some of the, I got my book here that has the whole solo written out. And when I saw the solo written out, I thought, the guitar player is partly employing this scale. So I thought I'd show it to you. So it's an A flat major scale. We're in the key of A flat in this song. You definitely want to be good at this scale. It's not hard. I divide it into those 3 measures, 3 different octaves, 2 fingers. Your fretting hand, you need your index finger and your ring finger. Only 2 fingers. See how it starts 4 on the 6th string? Index finger 4 on the 6th string. The ring finger frets the 6th fret, but slides up to 8. Okay? That's key. As humble and simple as that looks and sounds, that's mandatory. That's the first step of success, towards success. Now your index finger is in perfect position to grab the 6 on the next string, and your ring finger grabs the 8 on the next string, and your index finishes off with a 6 on the D string, the 4th skinny string. And you have just played an A flat major pentatonic scale, but let's call it the sliding scale. The pentatonic sound is a great sound, period. Sliding just makes it sound that much cooler, right? Now, the second measure, guess what? You're already in the right place. You're on 6 on that string. You just repeat that same technique with one little twist. All of a sudden, there's 9 on the 2nd string. That's how it ends. Where are we here? Please do that 9 with your middle finger. I lied before. I said you only need 2 fingers. That's the one exception at that moment. 9 with your index middle finger. I mean, I guess you could use your index finger because you're going to be using your index finger in a second. Okay, bottom line is that second measure right in the middle, the 6, 8, 10 business, it's virtually the same thing as the first measure. Different starting point, but it's the same index ring slide. Is that same technique. Actually, that 9, I'm going to take back what I said. The middle finger is a logical finger to use on that 9 if you're going to come to rest on that note. You could use your index finger on that 9 so that you can go into the 3rd measure smoothly. Okay, so my challenge for you to play all 3 of these. That last note, I'll leave it up to you. You could get the last note with your ring finger, of course. If you want to give your pinky a little exercise, that 16 on the 1st string, use your pinky, ring or pinky. But since we're using the ring finger so much, you could either stick with the ring finger out of loyalty or use your pinky because logically it's the closest finger. Okay, my challenge to you, play those 3 scales, ascending and also descending. What do we got here? What do we got? To play it descending, you're just going to reverse all the slides. If the slide was 11 and going up to 13 with your ring finger, you're going to do 13 down to 11 with your ring finger. Right? I have to stop and think about it now. Yeah, yeah. You want to be equally good either way. You can get a little tangled up going back down for whatever reason. You get a little tangled up. Chuck says, I toured Bob Marley's home in Jamaica once, very far away from anything civilized. Interesting. Interesting. Okay. So, John, I see your question. You said, can you do it by lifting the fret hand? Can you do this thing right here? This. Yeah, it's like your fretting hand is constantly in motion. I'm only touching one string at a time. Bottom line is, if you have never done this type of scale before, now is as good a time as any to start. You get a lot of bang for your buck. Just keep in mind, you can and probably should do every note on there with your index and ring finger, especially if that helps you. If you're getting tangled up by me saying, hey, maybe use your middle finger, hey, maybe use your pinky, you could just do the whole thing with your index and ring, and that's totally fine. Last thing I'm going to say is many of you will be somewhat challenged, the way I just was, going back down. Shouldn't be. Give yourself a minute. Okay. That scale, again, relates to the song that we just did, and I thought to myself, well, not only is the guitar player in the song employing that scale for parts of his solo, but it's the kind of thing I should show you guys anyways, especially if I never did. So it is a major pentatonic scale, but the approach is very mobile, right? Very fluid, sliding up and down the neck. So it's called the sliding scale, as opposed to the type of pentatonic playing, which is just, you put your hand in one place and you let your fingers do the walking, nothing wrong with that. But okay. John, are you talking about the strumming, the whole thing? I think I know what you mean. Yeah, good point. John, you're adding a good piece of information. Getting back to the strumming real quick, that whole staccato sound where I'm controlling it. I was doing something without thinking, and John is making me think about it. Even though I was catching the vibrating string with the edge of my hand, I was also relaxing my pressure on my fretting hand. And that was helping with a whole controlled sound. So, yeah. So ideally, it's both. I call it like an insurance policy. Both hands are ensuring that the sound is over, Some of you might find one technique easier than the other. What I was doing with my fretting hand shouldn't be hard, but I can see why it could feel weird to squeeze and then relax so the sound goes away. Squeeze, relax. So I'm getting the same effect like that John's pointing out. I'm getting the same effect without any muting out with my picking hand. But I recommend both. Remember, when I say relax, my fingers are not leaving the strings, right? That'd be weird, right? Yeah. So in my mind, what I tell myself as a player is I'm bouncing on the strings. My left hand is it's squeezing and relaxing this, and to me, it's the image of bouncing on the strings. So you could test yourself. You could say, okay, I'm not going to do the muting at all with my picking hand. I want to test myself and see if I can get the same effect just by relaxing. It shouldn't be hard, but We're all different, right? There's many dozens of you watching right now. We're all different. Some of you, that's as a teacher, I learned very quickly, 32 years ago, going on 33 years. Oh man, April. I think April is my anniversary of teaching. So this April will be 33 years of teaching guitar. I learned very quickly as a young guy that everyone is so different. Everyone, you know, what we all consider to be hard versus easy, what you get right on your first try and what you do not get right even on your 100th try is totally different. Totally different. I've had students say to me that the C chord is just the hardest thing in the world. I've had students walk in and get F sounding great on their first try. Whatever you think is the challenge, and it is. If it's challenging for you, it's challenging. I'm not saying it's not challenging. There's your neighbor thinks something else is challenging. You know, at least I became aware very quickly as a teacher that I just had to sort of accept that and work. You know, you meet someone where they're at. You know, that's how you well, it makes me a better teacher because, you know, I'm not just helping people with F all day long. You know, maybe someone is okay on F, but what they need help on is blah blah blah. You know, although in reality almost nobody is good at F at first, but you see what I'm saying. Dawson says, do I have any AC/DC stories? I sure don't. Dawson, if you have some, let us know. My relationship with AC/DC was the tough kids back in middle school and high school. Those are the AC/DC fans, and I didn't feel like I was ready to move in those circles. And then as an adult, I appreciate AC/DC so much more, man. What a sound! But I was slow to get on the AC/DC bus. A lot of politics involved, right? In childhood, as a teenager, you know, your musical allegiances, and if you don't watch out, you miss out on stuff, right? You miss out on stuff, and then later in life, you think, that's a great band, man. The Grateful Dead. My relationship with the Grateful Dead has evolved substantially since I was, you know, not into the Grateful Dead as a kid, and now it's like, man, I like the Grateful Dead just fine. Hey, I was in Ithaca, New York last weekend. Missed you guys. I stopped into that Ithaca Guitar Works guitar store, and I was there for so long. I wasn't really prepared to buy a guitar, but it didn't stop me from playing a million guitars. And I was practicing, man. I was doing my scales. I'm in the corner, nice and quietly at Ithaca Guitar Works, and I was there long enough that I was, you know, one of 11 customers, and then over time I was the only customer, and then a little while later, all of a sudden there was 20 customers there. Like I just, but there, you know, I was trying different guitars. I recommend it. Ithaca Guitar Works, Ithaca, New York. They're online. I don't know if they have a reverb shop. I wouldn't be surprised if they have a reverb shop. Anyways, Ithaca Guitar Works. Number one, they have cool stuff, and they seem like very nice people. Number two, they didn't give me a hassle for sitting around playing a whole bunch of guitars. I played two 12 strings, a Martin 12 string, a Taylor 12 string. That were very cool. I found they had a 1967 Guild Starfire hollow body guitar, semi hollow body guitar, which was sort of like the big brother to my Guild Starfire from 1963. That red guitar, you guys might remember, I have that red guitar with F holes in it. So that was kind of fun, playing the big brother to my guitar. And anyways, Ithaca Guitar Works, I recommend them highly. Check them out. A to Z Me says, John was there so long they gave him a t-shirt. Actually, I bought the t-shirt, right? And literally, as soon as I got home, I realized I had bought a different t-shirt the last time I was there. Which, nothing wrong with that. I appreciate any guitar store that's, you know, still in business in this day and age, especially with tons of cool inventory. But I didn't intend to have duplicate t-shirts, and now this one's a different style, different design. But yeah, you got to get it, especially if you're there, you're playing guitars and you're just, you know, you're not really spending the money they're hoping you're going to spend. You got to buy a t-shirt, right? You got to do it. Come on, why not? Why not? So yeah, I have 2 t-shirts from the Ithaca Guitar Works. Okay, my friends, before we run out of time, don't go anywhere. Let's bang out a couple of the pieces of information that I want to bang out. First, let's check in our poll. The poll question: if you haven't voted, now's the time to vote. We've had 31 votes since we started. I see there's 34 of you in the watching. So if you can get access to your computer, here's the question for the night. Would you prefer to be playing with your good friends, even if you really don't love the songs you're playing? Or would you prefer to be playing all your favorite songs with a bunch of people that you just don't connect with? This is why bands break up, people. It happens, right? Maybe it's your buddies, but like you don't like the way the direction of the band is headed in. It's problematic. Or maybe you love the music so much, but the people in the group are making you insane because you guys just are not on the same page. What do you think? If you had to pick one, ouch, which one would you pick? Playing with your favorite people, despite the fact that you don't love the music? Playing your favorite songs with others? So at the moment, 61% of you are saying, being with my friends, play any music, just with your friends. I get that. But 39% are like, you're in this for the music. I get that too. You're in it for the music. You want to play music that you care about, that you love. And maybe you feel like, you know what, you can tolerate anything there for the music. And I get that. At the moment, 61% of you are choosing friends over the actual material. Very interesting. But go ahead and vote. 6-String Greg says, I just bought a guitar to gift to a buddy who's coming over for dinner. Ah, very nice. Helped him buy a guitar for his granddaughter. Ah, there you go. Greg says it's a bonding opportunity for them, play music. Yeah, so you got one for him and you helped him buy one for his granddaughter. How cool is that? Multi-generational. It's a beautiful thing. Beautiful thing. That's awesome. That's awesome. And you know what? You never know, this is sort of the story of my life, planting seeds. You never know that one little seed you plant, you never know where that is going to lead. What I can tell you, and you guys have heard these stories too, so many famous guitar players, their origin story involves, my uncle left this guitar behind. Someone rented our house, someone rented this cottage that we would rent out to people and they left a guitar behind. Or I had a broken leg and my cousin loaned me a guitar while I was laying in bed. So many stories involve someone, say, I'll give the kid a guitar. Why not? And the rest is history. So you never know. You never know. Okay, a couple more things. Let's see. Should I sell out? I had 3 things I was going to tell you about, and I will. And right before our live stream, my 4th email came in that topped all of them. So should I sell out? These are items that I have been offered to sell to you. And I guess I get a few free samples and maybe some money. And they're really hoping that you will buy these things. Okay, so in the last 2 weeks, I've been offered these offers to sell you solar lights, hubs and docks, like for your phone, like a hub and dock for charging your phone, hubs and docks, a vegetable chopper, and high quality skirts, sleepwear, and lingerie. High quality. High quality. So there you go. That's what I have been offered to sell to you. Should I sell out? Nah, I'm still going to take a pass. Although high quality skirts, sleepwear, and lingerie. I don't know. Music camp, summer camp. Check this out, you guys. I went to music summer camp a long time ago. Where did I go? Where could you go? Check this out. Okay, take a look at your screen right there. There are a lot of these summer camps all over this country and hopefully other countries as well. This is one I went to a long time ago. And don't worry, I'm going to scroll up the screen. This is in Elkins, West Virginia, the Augusta Heritage Center. And I'm scrolling. Okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to show you specifically what's going on this summer. Now, this is just one of many, but I chose this one because I've been there. Okay, see these yellow tabs here? Flat picking guitar weekend, summer heritage workshops, old time retreat, Irish. Okay, so I'm going to click on the summer heritage workshops because this is a pretty big variety. Okay, so check this out. You guys see this okay? You could go there for Cajun and Creole week. Here. Okay, I'm just going to keep scrolling here. You could go there for Classic Country Week. You could go there for Bluegrass Week. I'm going to pause here. This is the one that I did. Now, this is well over 20 years ago, a little bit over 20 years ago. I went to this camp and did Bluegrass Week. I was totally into fiddle. So I went there as a basically a beginner bluegrass fiddle player, had a lot of fun. And I would do it again. If I had nothing else to do, I would go again in a heartbeat. So you might be wondering, okay, what all happens at these types of places? And I will tell you. Let me just pull this up on the screen. They got a blues week, and I think I can give you some details. See that right there, blues week? So it's a combination of you playing your instrument with other human beings, okay? It's a combination of that. Let me click on this here. And bear with me, I'm going to pull up something else here. And then you are taking lessons. I mean, there's people there showing you how to do stuff. And then there's people, including some potentially pretty famous people, are performing. How cool is that? Okay, let me see if I can share this. I think I can. I sure hope I can. Bear with me, folks, because I think you'll get a kick out of like the like what is going on. How do I share that thing? Window. Okay, bear with me. Let's try this one. Okay, can you see that on your screen? I sure hope you can. I think you can. It's a weekly a schedule of what's happening. Okay, there we go. So I hope you can see that. Let me know in the chat if this is just not working for you. I know the print is kind of small, the font is kind of small, but this is an example of what's going to go on Blues Week at this particular camp in West Virginia. Different guitar workshops, guitar accompaniment for blues and jazz. I'm just reading down from the top of the page. Blues piano, blues guitar, blues ensemble, blues theory for all, tools for playing blues piano. I can tell you my experience, the instructors are super talented people. Some of them are famous, some of them are not. Some of them were what I call musicians. I found out later that they are extremely highly regarded musicians. I just wasn't personally aware of them, but some of them I was totally aware of. So I'm just sharing this with you to give you a taste of what a week could look like. And again, it's a combination of instructional stuff and I'm going to stop sharing now. Instructional stuff and there we go. And playing with other people, like being gathered into an ensemble. For those of you who are already stressed out and thinking like, I'm not ready to play with other people, that's how a lot of the people there feel. And this is how you do it. My experience, everyone was so chill. Like there were some good players. Their players much better than me because I was a beginner fiddle player. But everyone was so chill. And you're never going to see these people again unless you want to see them again. And it just, whatever you're anxious about, it wasn't that. It wasn't that. Although, like, if you're a good player, if you're comfortable and you've played in groups before, and that's not, you're looking forward to doing that, then definitely go. Then that's how you're, like I said a few weeks ago, just being in a location with like 100 odd people who also think of this as a fun thing to do for a week in the summer. It's like, well, it's your people. Those are your people right there. All different ages. I think there was some like relatively young kids there. There were grandmas and grandpas there. Very cool. So Rock Lobster is asking, is it pricey? I don't know. I could afford it as a 20-something guitar teacher. But I don't remember the price. I'm sure it's a few $100. You had to get yourself there. I think, just getting yourself there is part of the expense, right? For some people. They have these all over the country though. So I picked that particular one because I've been there before. I'm like, why not? But they have them. And some of them are like purely guitar. And as you can see, that one involved, like the theme was music. That particular week, the theme was blues music. So it was a lot of things like piano and all this stuff. Anyways, Google it. Just Google guitar camps near me. Something to think about. Also, a while back, one of my students and I were talking about using that as a goal, saying, hey, I'm not ready to do it this summer, but I'm going to be ready the summer of 2026. Like, make it a goal for yourself, you know? Why not? I mean, it's nothing like having a goal and a deadline. Tell you what, send in a deposit, a non-refundable deposit, and then you'll get good enough, right? You know, you got a few $100 on the line. There's your motivation, right? There's your motivation. But there's a lot of them all over the country, and some of them are run by famous people. Jorma Kaukonen, many people know Jorma from Jefferson Airplane and from Hot Tuna, and then he certainly plays as a solo artist all the time. Jorma Kaukonen. He has his own camp in Ohio. He got his home in Ohio. Okay, there you go. I just want to share that with you. Something to think about. And if not this summer, no pressure, no pressure. But, you know, very educational, a lot of fun, and not as stressful as a few of you are thinking it's going to be. It just wasn't. It wasn't that kind of vibe. Any place you go, there's going to be someone who's more experienced than you and less experienced than you. You walk into a music store, you're going to find both of those people, and you're going to be right in the middle. Anywhere you go, you're going to be right in the middle. So, you know. All right. So I want to share that with you. Hand health is brain health. One of my students, and Bill, I don't think it was you, Mr. Collier, William, if you're still there. I don't think it was you, Bill, but it was one of my students told me recently, this a couple of days ago, about a book, and they're going to get me the title of the book, co-written by, I believe the husband is a surgeon and the wife is a psychologist. And I don't know if the whole book or just a part of the book emphasize that hand health is brain health, meaning if you keep your hands challenged, if you keep your hands moving, if you keep your hands learning new skills, there's a direct connection to the health of your brain, especially as you get older, right? Now, I want to believe this is a very concrete scientific thing very, very badly. So until someone tells you there's not a connection, I'm going to go with it. Hand health is brain health. I have an agenda, right? I'm very biased and very motivated. I want to believe that you and me and all of us, all this dang time we spend learning these chords and all this stuff we do directly makes us healthy upstairs. So I'm going to track down whichever student told me about it. I have a couple ideas, and Bill, if it wasn't you, I have a couple ideas of who it might have been. I love the concept so much. I got to get this book, got to read about it, and hopefully it's just going to confirm what I want to believe anyways, which is the more you do with your hands, the healthier your brain is. Not the only thing, right? They say learning a foreign language is also extremely helpful for your brain at any time of life. But anyways, I want to run that past you guys. So let's all assume it's a scientific fact for the moment. Hand health is brain health. I love it. Maybe that'll be the SongBike. I'll get a t-shirt. That'll be the little slogan at the bottom of the t-shirt. What else do I want to share with you? I had a dream. My friends. A couple weeks ago, I got the idea to go back to doing something I used to do as a younger person, which is to, if you have a dream in the middle of the night, you wake up and you write down the dream, you keep track of your dreams, right? And within a couple of days, I had this dream. I was teaching a lesson. I don't remember too much about it. And in the dream, I referred to chords as partners in crime, just in my dream. This is what I dream about, apparently. I didn't know. And I woke up, I wrote down in the morning, like, dude, I love that. Chords are partners in crime. As you guys know, there's certain chords that you see together quite a bit. G, D, and C. But you can also have G, D, and A, right? G, D, and A, that's a common family, G, D, and C. So maybe for this particular crime, they needed someone to break into a lock, a safe. For another crime, they needed someone who could climb in through a top story window, right? G, D, and C, G, D, and A, right? Chords as partners in crime. I did not expect writing down my nighttime dreams to, well, first of all, I thought I never dreamt about teaching. In fact, I thought it was remarkable, considering I do it 6 days a week, that I don't dream about it. That's kind of weird. Apparently I do dream about it, and now I'm sharing that with you. Chords as partners in crime. I like that. Apparently that's what I dream about. I had a great teaching experience this week. I love when this happens. A student came for her lesson, her in-person lesson, and it's on her birthday. That's how it worked out. Oh, it made me so happy. Here's why. I'm just touched. It's your birthday. You really should be able to do whatever you want on your birthday, right? Cancel any plans and do whatever you want. Cancel your appointment, do whatever. I get that. I totally get that. So when someone comes to their lesson on their birthday, I'm so happy. I even have these birthday hats that are available in case someone wants to wear a birthday hat when they have their birthday lesson, no pressure. I had this kid, this is relevant since today is March 1st and not February 29th. This kid came to a lesson, and he said something about how his birthday was coming up. And I checked the calendar real quick, and I said, darn it, your lesson will not fall on your birthday, just how it happens to be. But I hope someday it does. And I said, oh, wait. And I looked at the thing. I said, oh, man, next year or whatever, it's going to fall on your birthday. So if you just stick with lessons, next year we'll have a birthday lesson. The kid was so pumped about that. And then I factored in leap day and whatever the math was, because of leap day, his lesson was definitely not going to fall on his birthday. And I shouldn't have said anything, but I broke the news to him. Oh, sorry, I take back everything I just said. It's not going to happen on your birthday. And the kid was like crestfallen. And so Mr. Genius here, I thought now would be a good time to teach him about, the origins of leap year and leap day. The kid was like, dude, you just ruined my day. Stop, just like, let's not. He was not receptive to my scientific description of the origins of leap year. Yeah. So who's the dummy? That's me. Anyways, now my own dumb question. Speaking of dumb, my own dumb question of the week. I ask this dumb question so you don't have to. Here's my dumb question of the week. How long? Couple weeks. It happens. You don't have your guitar. Days go by. How long does it take to get back there again? It's a dumb question. I know. But you know what I'm talking about. We all do it, right? You don't take your instrument with you on every trip, every vacation. There might even be a reason why you don't pick your instrument up for weeks. It's possible, right? These things happen. It's life, right? How long does it take to get back there because you feel rusty, right? I don't know. It's a dumb question. It's a valid question, though. I don't know. What I can tell you is you do get back there for sure. You get back to that, however good you used to be, you get back there. It really helps to double down on the playing every day. I'm not saying you have to play twice as much every day, but if you want to get back to where you were, for sure, you got to play every single day to get back there. If you play once a week, twice a week, and hope to get back to however good you were, it's yeah, you gotta play every day. But that's the dumb question of the week. It's a dumb question. I went to the used bookstore. What did I get? I got stuff. Partly for me, partly for you. What did I get? Why do I say it's for you? Okay, here's why. There's a very cool series. It's this best of series from Warner Brothers Publications. They may not even be in print anymore, but they often look exactly like this Neil Young book. The best of Neil Young for guitar. Super tab notation. I gotta sneeze. Excuse me. Excuse me. Okay. Why am I showing you this book? Why did I get it? First of all, a Neil Young book for $4. Come on, $4. You can't get coffee and a donut for $4. This whole series is so cool. I'm going to hold this up to the camera so you can see this Warner Brothers book series. All these different people, some of whom maybe aren't who you think of when you think of guitar, but hey, you see lots of great bands there. Okay. Again, these might not be in print anymore. So if you see them, grab them or go online. The best of guitar series from Warner Brothers. And yeah, man, I really like how they present this stuff. It's super simple. This is not note for note authentic stuff, but how about good old After the Gold Rush? Love that song. Okay, just gonna hold this up for the camera right here. Heart of Gold. Sorry, Heart of Gold. It shows you the background chords, No fancy strumming, no information about strumming, just what the background chords are. But then, and it's kind of nice, they show you the melody written out in tab. Literally, that is how you can play on the guitar what Neil Young is singing. It's not what the guitar is playing, but hear me out. I like how this book and this whole series, it shows you literally the background chords and the melody at the same time. You could either record yourself doing the background chords and then play the melody along, or you get together with a buddy. One person plays the chords, the other person's got the melody. Now you are an instrumental duo, you know, and they keep things real simple. $4. $4. Holy cow. So maybe eBay. I don't know if, I mean, maybe some of these are still in print. Neil Young books can be tricky. I don't know what's up with Neil Young, but I'm not saying Neil Young books don't exist, but they can be harder to find than the Beatles and Bob Dylan and Billy Joel and the Eagles and his peers. For some reason, Neil Young books are, in my experience, they can be more difficult to find. I'm not saying they don't exist out there, but not in the numbers that you'd expect, considering how talented he is. What else did I get? Well, this was a whopping $5. James Taylor, $5. And I don't mind that someone probably spilled some coffee right there. I hope it's not blood. I'm hoping it's coffee. James Taylor's Greatest Hits, $5. Now, this is the note for note, exact every detail. If he sneezed, they documented it, you know, in this book. But for $5, man, I already have an extremely similar James Taylor book. So in my mind, the next time I get a student, like an in-person student who's crazy about James Taylor, I can just sell them this book. Like, do give me $5. There's our next few years of lessons right there for $5, right? I don't mind having two pretty similar books because I know sooner or later I'm going to find a customer and I don't need to make a dime. You know, A to Z Me says, in my mind, I'm going to Carolina. You got it. So $5. Come on, man. Love it. And now this one might throw you for a loop. I got one more. How to play the banjo. I already kind of know how to play the banjo. Why did I get this book? It's a very cool banjo book. This is written for 5-string banjo. Most common kind of banjo. There is a 4-string banjo, totally different instrument, totally different book. 4-string banjo is beautiful, used often in Irish music, some early jazz, Dixieland kind of music. 4-string banjo is not what most of us think of when you think of down, dueling banjos, all that kind of stuff, Deliverance. 5-string banjo, flat and Scruggs. Okay. Very cool book, How to Play Banjo by Tim Jumper. This book has been around for quite a while, and I have copies, and I loan them out or sell them in 1981. Number one, it's just a well-written book for beginning banjo. Number two, I found out somehow in the early 90s that author Tim Jumper was from my hometown outside of Boston. Oh, man. So next time I was home at Christmas, I rang his doorbell. Look him up in the phone book. Remember phone books? Looked him up in the phone book, rang his doorbell. His wife came to the door. I introduced myself, and she said, well, Tim's sleeping right now, but I'll let him know you stopped by, and I left my number, something like that. Okay. I never connected with him. A little while later, I found out he died. Oh, man, before I could meet him. And then I found out he didn't die. So I don't know, man. I don't know. Mr. Jumper, you wrote a great book. I hope you're still with us. I don't know. If you are interested in playing the 5-string banjo, I really recommend this particular book. I paid $4. $4. It's great. Last thing we're going to say about this particular book, it covers the 3 main styles of banjo playing: up picking, claw hammer, also known as frailing, also known as mountain style, and bluegrass style, which for most people, that's the one that they associate with banjo, that Steve Martin, that fast, it sounds like a musical typewriter, that, you know, bluegrass banjo. It gets you started on all 3 of those styles, and it's a well-written book. In fact, the only problem, and I can't blame Mr. Jumper, but it doesn't come with any sort of audio examples, unless maybe there's a new copy that does. I know, you can Google it. I'm going to look it up right now. But if it doesn't, then that's too bad, because as you all know, if you hear, if you can hear how it goes, it makes a huge difference, right? Okay, bear with me. Let's see if it's still available and if, which I think it is. I know it is. But if it comes with audio now, okay, $18.99, brand new, and come on, it's got to come with an audio thing. I don't think it does. I don't think it ever did, and I don't think it does at all. I don't think they sort of update it. Dang it. Nope. Now, it doesn't mean you shouldn't still get it, but especially if you find it for $4, and if you have a 5-string banjo sitting around anyways. But man, I don't know. They could give someone a couple $100 to record every song in the book, and in a week they'd have a nice, clean audio thing, and charge a couple extra bucks for the book. Come on, $19, charge $21, and you'd be all set. I don't know. Anyways, that was my trip to the used bookstore. Scott just got a book called The Complete Book of Alternate Tunings. Shows scales, chords, and other info in a bunch of tunings. Very cool. Yeah, I'm just checking out in the chat here, you guys, and seeing what's going on. 6-string Greg says, I started jamming with groups after 2 months of playing guitar. It makes you better, 100%. If you can find an opportunity to play with people who are more experienced than you are, you've just done yourself the biggest favor, man. It's a fantastic thing. It's humbling, right? Until it's not, until you improve in these, by leaps and bounds. And that is one of the main, in a perfect world, if I could wave a magic wand, I would get you guys in a situation where every one of you could have a group to play with every Sunday afternoon, whatever, Wednesday night, whatever. And everyone in the group would be a little bit more experienced than you are. They'd also be super nice and willing to show you lots of stuff. And it's awesome. Hey, Randy, thank you for your super chat. Randy just made a super chat with some song bucks. And Randy, you are supporting what we do here. Our Sharpie Fund and our blank paper fund. I appreciate that. I haven't used the Sharpies much today so far. Thank you, Randy. I appreciate that. Those of you who want to make a contribution, there's so many ways you can do that. Super chat is that $ at the bottom of the chat. You can become a member of my website, www.song-bike.com. And quick reminder, that's how you get access to a whole bunch of the PDFs that I show you in these live streams. I'm closing some windows here. Another way you can support what we do is to buy yourself something from Sweetwater. Just use the affiliate link that's in the description of every one of these live streams. Click on that link. It'll bring you to Sweetwater. And Sweetwater sends back a little of their profits to support this live stream. Hey, you can go to my website and get yourself some instructional material. Every one of these books comes with a video, such as the Chord-Melody Songbook Vol.1. There's lots of stuff. Just go to the website, check it out, buy yourself something, and I thank you in advance. Okay, before we run out of time, who's in town this week? I'm going to put their names and links to some of the YouTube videos in the description of this live stream. If they're coming through my town, it's possible they'll soon be coming through your town. Eli Paperboy Reed, great guitar playing, great voice. He's coming through town. Turns out he's from Massachusetts, a little bit younger than me, and he moved to Chicago right after I left. So we didn't quite cross paths, but Eli Paperboy Reed is coming through my neck of the woods. Bluesy, soulful, rock and roll kind of voice and band. From Ireland, Lunasa. I may not be pronouncing that right. I hope I am. Lunasa. Very highly regarded Irish band coming through my town. A quirky duo called Sons of Town Hall. They've got this kind of folky, Victorian oddball thing going on. Very quirky. Check out the video. I'll put the link to one of the YouTube videos in the description of this video when we're all done. And Jim Messina. Who's Jim Messina? You might know him from Loggins and Messina with Kenny Loggins. You might know him as a member of Poco. He did some time with Buffalo Springfield. Jim Messina, he's coming through town as well. And I will put a link to one of his videos in the description of this video. Tough love. You ready for some tough love? It's going to be only medium tough this week. A little segment I like to call tough love is stuff that I really have to say to you because someone has to say this to you. Okay, tough love. 2 things. Don't call your strings chords. One of you has done it. Someone, because I hear it now and then. First chord, second chord, fat chord. Strings are not chords. Strings are strings, right? Chords are those hand formations. Don't call your strings chords. People will look at you funny. Okay, don't do it. Second thing, strings have numbers, 1 through 6. How do you know which is 1, which is 6? Littlest number, littlest string. First string is the skinny string. Okay, get it? Littlest number is the skinniest string. This is universally accepted. This is not arbitrary. I did not make this up. It's a fact. The 6th string is the fat string. Okay. Now, some of you have never heard this before, and that's great. Some of you have heard this, but it kind of went in one ear and out the other. Each string has a number. Skinniest string is the lowest number, smallest number, right? You got it? You're okay with that? You're more likely to break your first string than any other string, right? Skinny string, first string. So when you call up the music store and say, hey, can I come over and buy just 1 string? Which string did you break? Tell them you broke the first string. You know, they might ask for clarification because they've fielded this phone call so many times. They might say, when you say the first string, you mean the skinny one, right? And they just want to confirm. They want to be 100% sure. Okay, so there's your tough love. No big deal, right? No big deal. But here you are, you're playing your instrument, you're learning, you're like committed to this, so you got to use the right terminology. Okay, there you go. Rick G says, to make a guitar sound like a banjo, put a balloon in the sound hole. All right, sure. Yeah, Wingo says that tough love was only semi-tough. I know. But hey, man, I'm looking out for you guys. But if you call vibrato bravado, I'm here for that, man. I like that. Add a little bravado to that note. I mean, I'm going to be thinking about that the rest of my life. That's one of the coolest malapropisms. Is that the right word for that? Bravado. Add some bravado to that note. I'm going to say that by mistake. I'm sure I'm going to say it by, because I just like it so much. Okay, so I want to share that with you. It's a little bit of tough love. Okay, I know we're getting to the end here. What haven't I run past you? Man, do we have any fans of the Waterboys? Mike Scott's voice. I've always loved Mike Scott's voice from the Waterboys. They have a new album out, and the new album is, the album's coming out in April. And I've heard a couple of songs, and very interesting stuff. Okay, so the Waterboys have been around for a long time. The new album is called Life, Death, and Dennis Hopper. That's the name of the album. Coming out April 4. The Waterboys, Life, Death, and Dennis Hopper. In the link, in the description of this live stream, I'll put a link to one of the video of one of the songs, because the album's not out yet, but there's a single out, and the song is called Hoppers on Top. And just a fun tune. Anyways, if you've got any Waterboys fans out there, I just want to throw them a little plug. New album coming out April 4th. All right, we're getting there, my friends. I think we're just about done. There's a bunch of things I'm going to put on the back burner, and we'll cover them next Saturday. How are you? You learned some stuff today? You have some fun? I hope you chatted with each other a little bit in the chat. I like reading your chats afterwards. I'll be timestamping this tomorrow morning, and I like seeing you guys chatting with each other in the in there. Hey, Rock Lobster, thank you for your super chat as well. I appreciate that. Music Fan is our moderator tonight. Music Fan, let's hear a little round of applause for Music Fan. A big round of applause. Thank you, Music Fan, for being there. Music Fan and I are going to be having some dinner tonight. Sweetie, I wonder what's for dinner. Our son is home for spring break, and typically that involves some extra yummy food during the week, some different restaurants that are favorites. Want to get some calories in him while we have him home. So A to Z me. So anyways, Music Fan, let me know. Send me a text and let me know if there's anything I need to do on my way home to make dinner especially yummy. A to Z me says, the only song I know from the Waterboys is The Hole of the Moon, which is a great song. Yeah. I always liked the Waterboys, but I like them even more. I got a weird, there's a Bob Dylan tribute CD where the Waterboys did a version of Girl from the North Country. And something about it was like so good. I love their version of Girl from the North Country. And that just made me like the Waterboys even more. I don't know. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think it's that time. Rick G says, please give us a parting riff from AC/DC. What makes you think I know AC/DC riffs just off the top of my head? Going down the highway. We should do that song as a, it's a long way to the top if you want to rock and roll. It's a long way to the top if you want to. We should do that song sometime, right? No. What am I doing? I'm using the Blues Driver. Rick says, thanks. You're welcome. De nada. Gotta love AC/DC. AC/DC came out with an album during the pandemic, right? And it's great. It sounded exactly like AC/DC, man. It's more of the same. So, all right, my friends, one last thing. Those of you who have stuck around this long, you deserve to know the poll results. These are your last chance to vote. The numbers have basically stayed the same since the beginning of the poll. The question, if you had to choose, would you choose playing with your good friends, even though the songs are not your favorite songs, or would you choose playing your favorite songs with people you don't really connect with? And the numbers have stayed pretty consistent. 59% of you are choosing friends over the songs, and 41% are choosing the songs over the friends. A weird question, right? Weird question. I know. I got to come up with one of these every week. But again, I mean, I've been in these situations, and maybe you have too, where like, nothing's perfect, right? I mean, unless it is. And if you find yourself in a situation where you're playing with your favorite people and you really love the material, then make it last, man. Enjoy every minute and do whatever you can to keep that going. Okay. All right, you guys. I think we did it. I think we did what we set out to do. Again, if you want the PDFs that relate to the Bob Marley song that we did tonight, and the PDF, the 2-page PDF that had to do with all those G chord riffs based on that little G chord, those are available on my website, song-bike.com. You got to become a member for $10, but you click on the PDF, and there's a whole lot of other PDFs beyond those. So Wingo says, thanks for the stream. Wingo, you are very, very welcome. A to Z says, great stream. Thanks. I appreciate that. All right, you guys, I thank you for being here. What would I do without you, man? I'd just be some guy sitting in a little room. I'll see you next Saturday, same time, same place. Don't forget to give me a follow on Instagram or Facebook, just because that's how I can communicate stuff with you. For instance, if I have to cancel it, if I have to do something an hour earlier, an hour later, or if you want to get a little heads up on what the topics are going to be, that's another way to do it. Yeah. All right, you guys, I'm going to say a few good nights. Winston, Good night from Wales. Good night. Winston and Wingo. Good night. Charlie, Rick, Randy, A to Z me, Rock Lobster, Chuck. Chuck says, thank you. Chuck, you are very welcome too. Chris Creates, thank you for being here too. I see we got a few dozen of you in the who are still watching. I appreciate all of you being here. Dawson, thank you for being here. So I'll see you guys next Saturday. That's about it. That's about it. My weekend begins now. All right, you guys, thanks for being here. Have a great week. Play your guitar, stay healthy. Hope it's warming up a little bit where you are. Temperatures are getting a little bit warmer here in Connecticut. So, and we're going to change our clocks, not tomorrow, not tonight, but next week, we're going to change our clocks. So prepare for that. All right, you guys, see you next time.